a lot of vocab words that go along with section 1-7, rates, ratios, and proportions. Our first vocab word is a ratio. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. All ratios can, in the end, be written as a fraction, but you can also write x to y, x colon y, and x over y is the fraction. A rate is a ratio of two quantities with different unities, such as 34 miles to 2 gallons or 35 miles per 2 gallons. Think about the rate at which we drive, miles per hour. A unit rate, the key word here, unit, means one. So it is a rate with the second quantity of 1 unit, such as 17 miles to 1 gallon or 17 miles per gallon. You convert any rate to a unit rate. And proportions. Proportions are equations stating that two ratios, like A over B is equal to, two ratios are equal. A over B is equal to C over D. When solving a proportion, we use cross products. So it means we're going to cross multiply, like CB equals AD, for instance. Cross products is the same as multiplying the means and multiplying the extremes. And so it shows you our means and our extremes. Let's look at example 1. The ratio of games won to games lost for a baseball team is 3-2. The team won 18 games. How many games did the team lose? If we highlight this, let's see. The ratio of games won to games lost. So games won was 3. I'm going to do that one as pink. And the games lost was blue. Okay, the team won 18 games. I'm going to highlight that pink. How many games did the team lose? That's what we don't know. So that's going to be the lose both got blue and the wins both got pink. And since we don't know how many games, this is really our variable right here. And so what you can do is, when you set up a proportion for this, here's our proportion. I can put our reds either over each other, like 3 over 18, or I can do it next to each other, like this. And I can write the original ratio was 3-2, which is 3 over 2. So that makes sense. And then my blues are in line. So notice that either vertically or horizontally, my wins are lined up. And same thing with my losses. Okay, so now I can go ahead and use cross products. So I'm going to multiply across the diagonals, and I end up with 3x, 3 times x is 3x, equals 18 times 2, which is 36. And I can divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 12. So again, the question said, how many games did the team lose? They lost 12 games. Okay, Corey earns $52.50 in 7 hours. So let's highlight here. He earned $52.50 in 7 hours. Find the unit rate in dollars per hour. So since it's per hour, we're talking about 1 hour. Per hour, which is 1. And we don't know how many dollars. Find the number of dollars, right? So that's going to be x. So when I write my proportion, I can start off with my ratio, the 52.50 to 7 hours. So 52.50 in 7 hours equals how much money, x dollars, per 1 hour. And now that I have my proportion, I can cross multiply. So I get 7x equals 52.50. I can divide both sides by 7, and x is equal to 7.5, which is $7.50. $696 divide both sides by 2, and x equals 348. So how many stores? 348 stores. I always go back to the question, just make sure I'm answering what was actually asked. Okay, in example 4, we've already been doing this, solving proportions. We're just going to be cross multiplying. So 4a, we would multiply 3 times 3 and 5 times x. So I get 9 equals 5x. Solve for x by dividing both sides by 5. And x equals 9/5. You can leave your answer like that, or it's 1 4/5 or 1.8. In example 4b, again, it's a proportion, so I'm cross multiplying. The only problem here is, let me back up. This is a you'll learn this term, a binomial, where we have two terms. So when that 7 is being multiplied to the x minus 2, you have to do it to both terms. It's like the distributive property. It would be written like this. 7 times x minus 2 equals 14 times 2. And so I would distribute 7x minus 14 is equal to 28. And now I can isolate my x. The first step would be to add 14 to both sides. Seven x is equal to 42. Divide both sides by 7. And x is equal to 6. Example 4c, we can cross multiply again because it's a proportion. R times 40 is 40r equals 8 times 25 is 200. Divide both sides by 40. I'm going to cancel a 0 right away to make things easier. 20 divided by 4 is 5, so r is equal to 5. Even for scale drawings, we can still highlight and keep things in the same category. So the scale on the map of a Great Smoky Mountain National Park is 3 inches equals 10 miles. The length of the Ramsey Cascades Trail is about 1 1/8 inches. I'm going to highlight that pink since I had my other inches highlighted. What is the actual length of the trail? So when I write this proportion, I can start with my original equation if I want to. 3 inches equals 10 miles. But if I do that, I want you to notice that the inches was red and the miles was blue. So when I place this 1 1/8 inches, I need it to either be horizontal with the 3 inches or vertical to it. So I'm going to put it right here, 1 1/8, which leaves our actual miles, the actual length, as x. So now we can go ahead and calculate, because I know I have my inches lined up and my miles lined up. I can cross multiply. I get 3x equals 1 1/8 to me is 9/8. So 9/8 times 10 is 98. And now I can divide both sides by 3. And x equals, we don't divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal, so 90 over 8 times 3 over 1 is going to become 1 over 3. And I can cross simplify. Notice when you're multiplying, you're not cross multiplying, that's with proportions. When you're multiplying, you're cross simplifying. So the 90 and 3, I can divide both by 3, and I get 30 to 1. And now I can multiply straight across. 30 times 1 is 30, and 8 times 1 is 8. So 30 over 8. Oops, I can simplify this as well. Divide both by 2, I get 15 over 4. So 15 over 4 miles, or we can change that to 3 3/4 miles, or 3.75 miles. Any of those are okay.